Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
Black Fire Radio. You're listening to
family. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Happy Thursday, 21 minutes past 2 p.m. Apologies, I am late, but our pickup driver today was a little bit busy not to do that. But karibuni sana, good afternoon. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week so far. It's on a Thursday. Literally, the week is coming to an end. Hope you are enjoying yourself, whatever you're doing, whether you are at your black job. If in case you've been catching up, like the shows Karibuni Sana on BitChute, on Rumble, on YouTube, on the network, on those who are listening to this on the radio station as well. We're everywhere, literally everywhere on the internet. So like I said yesterday, if you say you've never bumped to Black Hot Fire Network, I don't know what to say. That is, you just, I don't know what to say, but we're everywhere. And in case you bump into us, of course, ensure you subscribe. And also a quick reminder to download our app on the Google Play Store. Black Hot Fire Network is the name. You can get yourself amazing merchandise, organic supplements on the like of BitChute, Brain and Focus Formula, and so much. But today I have a very interesting conversation. Shall be talking about, of course, looking at what we discussed, I think, last week on how Kenya and also Tanzania and most of the African countries out there falling into the trap of privatization of assets, or public assets to be specific. We saw Kenya and Tanzania be one of the countries that have even privatized their ports. We saw recently Kenya did privatize the only Kenya pipeline we have. Also, they have privatized literally so many things. The Kenya Power, our electrics tokens go literally super crazy. It is just not making sense. And of course, much more. But today we shall be literally looking deeper into how Kenya, through Ruto, we have an NGO that has received immunity, meaning you can't sue them, you can't complain about them, and they've been given an immunity, and this is regarding BS to do with climate change and all that. So I'll be sharing the video as we discuss this, because Ruto is completely giving Kenya away. If you talk about neocolonialism, shout out to Patrice Lumumba. He's been talking about it. Professor Lumumba, literally, not Patrice Lumumba, Professor Lumumba. He's been talking about it all the time. If we're not careful, Africa is going to be colonized again. And this is actually what we're observing currently. So karibuni sana, that's our top conversation for the day. Shout out to K Williams in the building. Hope you're doing amazing. For you as well, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you're doing great. I'm not always late, I'm always on time. It's just that I can't walk super fast because my leg is not completely back into the correct form of walking or trying to pace super fast. But hey, I They say better late than never, better late than never. But back to the music a little bit. It's a Thursday. Of course, this is one of the major TBTs right here in the 254. Right now, she's actually a pastor. Crazy. Yeah, we'll be talking about that and much more conversation coming still from Kenya. How actually Kenya has been borrowing 5.9 billion weekly within the last 4 months. Look at how we've literally been sunk in debt. Then you ask yourself why privatization is happening. If you understand the law of the IMF and the World Bank, you know what?
Reaching out to our brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into Black Half Fire Radio, and you're listening to the Pan African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Joby. Andrew Robinson, enough respect, love, respect, and justice for all.
Yes, and a quick reminder once again what you can get yourself on our Black Hot Fan Network store. That is sports page. Of course, we speak about your health being your wealth. Kindly take care of yourself however best you can. We eat so many fucked up foods, so many foods that we don't know where they're coming from, how they've been produced, created. So please be careful, especially for you guys in America. You gotta be very, very careful. But yes, today, like I said, we shall be dwelling on to what is happening in Kenya, looking at how Ruto is actually, of course, selling away Kenya to the European nations. And I'm saying props to Professor Lumumba, who has been talking about this, not just him. We also have Joshua Maponga. We have many Pan-Africanists, even young people who are talking about, if we're not careful, neocolonialism is going to be happening in front of our eyes again. Because I go back to before we get to share what is happening, with the privatization of these more companies that we can see popping up and why actually these leaders are doing this. I go back to the article we discussed about the IMF and the World Bank. If you understand the rules, the laws, the way they were set up, especially for these African countries and majority literally, but specifically Africa, which of course carries the wealth of the rest of the world. If you don't pay these debts, you're supposed to pay them in dollars. We're also taking debts, we're taking fake papers which never bring any value. We've not created value out of also these fake papers. There's no any industries, nothing we've created to showcase, hey, at least I can be accountable to say that these fake papers I didn't know value of. They did this and this and at that particular time when it was considered valuable. But these leaders have done completely nothing. So today, as we get into it, we have Ruto's government again, which has been called, where they're talking about the National Treasury shows that Kenya borrows 5.9 billion weekly this has been for the last within 4 months. And I also read another whole debt and shared another whole debt video of how much Kenya currently actually has in terms of debt. So you ask yourself actually, do we have so many privatizations? Again, go back to reading and understanding how the IMF and the World Bank system is created. And if you don't pay these debts, and the more debts you take what it could lead to, which is actually like a mandatory thing. But before we get into it, Karibu Sana Keith, how are you doing today?
Santa there, Joby. Someone's late today, huh?
Not me. Our pickup driver was busy, so I had to walk.
Capri. You walked?
Yeah, I had no option. I had to walk.
Why you just didn't wait on him? And since you walked, you could have waited. What?
He had many clients, so I couldn't wait. I was more late.
I didn't see no many clients in there. I looked in there. Well, no many clients in there.
Well, that's what he told me. I didn't have time to look at the CCTV. But anyway, shout out to sisters in Novia, Sana. Yeah, we have Kenya again on the spot, again on the matter of privatization. And I'm saying before we get to that, we need to understand and we know why these many countries are privatizing most of the public assets. We understand the rule and the law of the IMF and the World Bank, which this number one applies, is part of their system. If you do this, you don't pay the debts in time, And either way, if you, so long as you are involved in this system, it is so hard for you to escape. And looking at how African systems
Exactly.
are,
It's a scam. It
we've
was set up
not
as
built,
a scam.
exactly, we've not built anything to be able to escape even this trap. We keep on borrowing and we create nothing out of it, which is just again another lack of accountability. You know, they don't want to be responsible, they don't want to be inclusive, include people on everything they do. So how is it explainable from 3.7 billion that was being sent to go school and students? Recently, we had 335 million that was won by a private firm that was actually defending something owned by Ruto. Apparently, they didn't know it was owned by Ruto, but after it was won, it was confirmed that actually whatever the private law firm was defending, they won 335 million. What is, why is all this money? You know, he also claimed that we generated 4 point something billion out of our natural resources. Where is the money? Why are we in debt? Why are we in debt? I want to share, I don't know what's the name of this lady who came to Kenya who we were talking about. She had so many lands. Before I get to read this, well, can you remember her name if I can pull it up on
Has so
Instagram?
many land. You talking about that Khalees lady?
Kalis. Okay, yeah, thank you. Kalis.
What,
Let me see. She
what
was
about her?
showing the situation about Nairobi and of course expectations. I'm
Oh,
sure
what
that
she say?
yeah, she was talking about the expectations or expectations you shouldn't have when you're coming to Africa, like we keep on saying. But if you look at majority of the things she was showing, it kind of made me mad. But I'm like, it's not her fault because these leaders had this is their job. They're supposed to perfect this. You know, they're
Well,
supposed to.
well, well, well that's that's it. Yeah, shouldn't get mad. As even Teray said, Africa is in the 18th century, Joby. That's why why people are dying in the Mediterranean to get out of it because these morons have not developed Africa on purpose. The things that keep Africa poor so everybody can steal the wealth from it, Joby. That's the model. That's the scam. So
Mhm.
all these puppets have been put there. All these Yassabos Negroes have been
Yes.
put there.
Mhm.
Yassabos, the white
Mhm.
master. Yassabos, I want to make sure you just don't develop. Yassabos, I want to make sure you do what I tell you to do. Yassabos. So all these Yassabos Negroes have done the bit of their white colonial masters. They have not
Yep.
developed Africa. So that's why people are dying. And then it's funny, you then Google, you had that Tunisian guy, that Arab, oh, we're all brothers and helping together. But they're actually drowning African people in the Mediterranean so they don't make it to Europe. That was the Tunisians killing them, knocking the boats and killing them. But these people have not developed. So when people come and say, hey, it's not developed, it's just a fact. Don't get mad at the person short. Overthrow the government and develop it. Like Ibrahim's telling you, we shouldn't be 200 years behind and everything's in Africa. How are we behind everybody? This doesn't make any sense. How are we behind Asia, the Middle East that don't have shit, and Europe
Mhm.
that don't have shit? And we're in Africa that has everything, but we're underdeveloped. Don't get mad at someone showing it. Get mad and do and overthrow these people and develop it. That's why the lady in South Africa is screaming that Joby don't like. She said, go back and fix your country and your government. I agree with her. You cowards are always running. I'm on the Mediterranean. I'm running. Overthrow the government and fight your damn problems. As African men. I agree with that South African lady. Honest, I agree with her. You cowards, I can't stand a coward. So that's why your countries are underdeveloped, because you won't fight for nothing. First people that started fighting was Kenya, finally, after all these years. 60 years in poverty, you got the Kenyan youth that finally put up some kind of fight. That's why it was so big in Africa. You people never fight. You never do it. You know, you're sitting in poverty and talking about Jesus and Allah. It's normal not to be developed. It's normal not to never develop. It ain't normal. Go ahead, Joe.
All right. So we have Ruto. They're saying that the Kenya borrowed 9.5 billion, actually 95.5 billion Kenyan shillings in just 4 months, and records from the national. This is records from the national treasury, and the treasury records. have disclosed to Parliament that between May 1st and August 31st, 2025, the government signed 4 major loan agreements with a mix of commercial banks, bilateral partners, and multilateral institutions. On average, the deals translate to more than 5.9 billion every week and 23.9 billion a month. Part of the money was contracted in foreign currency, of course, including the US dollar and euros, exposing the extra to exchange rate risk. And the treasury report further that the interest spreads and committee fees attached to the loans, showing that the cost of the borrowing varies widely depending on the source. The latest loans have inched Kenya's public debt closer to the 12 trillion mark, piling more pressure on taxpayers already grappling with high.
Exactly. High inflation. Yeah, exactly. Kenyans should have been said, we don't have an economy. None of you morons in 60, I don't care what tribe you're from. None of you morons is Jomo, who was an absolute idiot. Jomo Kenyatta was an idiot. Sorry, that hurts your feelings. Absolute moron, like Nelson Mandela, idiotic ass in South Africa. These are morons.
A private international NGO has.
You should have asked yourself, why don't we have a built economy in 65 years, a so-called independence? Why don't we have free schooling and real education in 65 years? Why do we got so many African morons running Africa? What is going on? And then you ask yourself, okay, poverty's still the same, nothing's changed, it's time to overthrow the government. But you can't be saying that's a Kalenjin, that's a Kikuyu, that's a Lu, that's a Luya, that's a Kemba. You must say we're Kenyans and do what needs to be done. And then stop listening to this lady, still she's nice, with these Arabs who are not your friends. You know, who's your enemy, who's your real friends. And Africans will have to gonna have to, say it again, are gonna have to grow up and become adults. Politically. Your children in the mind. That's why they run around waving Israeli flags to people that can't stand African people, that hate us to our guts. That's not me being hyperbolic or me using hyperbole. These are absolute facts. You waving flags for people that can't stand your black ass. Go ahead, Joby.
Yeah, so we have, of course, looking at now what we have in terms of economical debt. If you're standing at literally 12 trillion Kenyan shillings mark, and each month we're taking, and this from different, as much as we know it's all the same system, when the people control the money, they're the same people created these banks, right? So we're looking at literally, they're spoken about the commercial bank, they're spoken about bilateral partners and multilateral institution. Talking about a month we borrow 23.9 billion Kenyan shillings. That is a lot of money. No schools, no proper healthcare system. We're talking about right now, lecturers are striking. We have patients who are striking because the social healthcare system is not working. That card is so fake. The roads,
Exactly.
like that police is showing, our roads are so pathetic, full of potholes. Like they look pathetic, especially after rain.
That's everywhere. That's everywhere in Africa. That's why Africa can't build a transportation system and trade with each other, because the roads in every African country are terrible. They won't build highways. Actually, if you do have trade, how are you gonna get the shit there? The roads are so damn bad. Like I said, to drive a bus, I put them on a bus to go to Mombasa. It takes like 10 hours, but that's only supposed to be like a 3-hour trip. It's only like 200 miles from Nairobi to Mombasa. And it takes them like all day. That's a 3-hour drive anywhere in the world. So, like I said, these morons have not developed Africa. That's what we're talking about, development. When things don't work in Africa, it's absolutely crazy. These roads are not built, should have been built. 60 years of supposedly development. Like you said, Burkina Faso, 60 years of fake independence. They only had 3,000 miles of road in the whole country. You're like, what? I said, what? How can this even be possible? But like Joby saying,
It's I feel like it's just
it,
disrespectful. It is just
it is disrespect. It's
the fact
criminal.
that it's disrespectful. The fact that what we were talking about yesterday, the whole body of Africa is disrespected. So the people
Yeah,
themselves are gonna end up being disrespected. The whole body, which is supposed to be the people standing up for you, are begging for recognition. You know how sad that is. It is that is so sad. Like we can't even still fathom the level of, how do I say, the level of boot licking that is, because it's so deep. The
it is
Yasa,
deep.
the Yasa boss Nick, these Negroes, it's so going, like it's very disrespectful. So
Exactly.
it's
That's why this
can
picture shows him smiling with his master. Everybody knows what this is. This is yes, a boss, a Negro. Hey, yes, a boss. And like, yeah, wait, I'm gonna steal all your money. Yes, a boss. Am I gonna get my little cut? Yes, you're a Negro. Oh, thank you, yes, a boss. So
it is
it
it
was
goes it goes deeper now when you look at the images we were sharing yesterday. You have some idiots so deep gone with religion demonstrating about Israel. Africa loves Israel. Kenya loves Israel.
exactly, you know, but the religion destroyed it. I was listening to, I should have get that video with the chain guy talking about how the Jays. I did see the Joe on TikTok. He said they never captured us with the religion. They captured Africa with that shit. The Africans' minds are messed up with that Islam and that goopy Christianity. You're right, and they're destroyed. They can't build nothing because they're caught in a religious psychosis. Chinese man said the Jays tried to come in there, they tried to take over. He like they tried to bring the religion, that didn't work. We said, nah, you get out of here with that shit. Because I did tell you, they did try to put China into the religious box. So I said, nah, we're not doing that.
China, like I said, there's a movie I watched which was explaining how China is very strict with that Bible bullshit in their country.
Yeah,
You
they
executed.
know they know it's mind control, Joby. They know it's a way. These are religious political control, Joby. So now you got your whole people believing nonsense. They're actually screaming and hollering about their own enemy. Yeah, Israel. Because your mind is messed up with this religious cognitive of nonsense. That's why religion is so dangerous. You're never allowed to become, and Africans are allowed to become state function, which taught in your school. You never allow that. If you're gonna have freedom of speech, okay. You want to believe religion? That's okay. You do it at your house. You never put that in your damn schools and indoctrinate your people with other people's cultures and beliefs, Joe. You don't do that. And Africa, all black Africa did that. That's why Africa doesn't work today. The religion is dangerous, and they
That's
know that it is.
that's so true. But let me share this video of Lil
Look,
Boogie talking about how now, as we look at the loans again, here I'm still heavy on looking at the statements of the IMF and the World Bank, the rules and the laws, how they're clearly set up. And when many African countries fall in debt, privatization falls online, and which is
exactly. That's the whole scam, Joe. With the privatize your industry, so they own your industries. They'll put you in debt so they can steal your resources and get paid forever off things that belong to you and your people. Whole thing is to
exactly.
make sure they get rich off of your shit. They don't do
So
nothing to make sure they get rich off of your resources, Joe.
last week, if you can remember, we covered looking at Kenya, Tanzania, which actually they're the two East African countries that have privatized their port. We saw Kenya privatized
Yep.
last week, the only Kenya pipeline we have. Apart from that, at the beginning of 2023, Ruto privatized. That was the Kenya, uh, the electricity, that was KPLC. What else? A lot of things. A bunch of companies were privatized, and he went ahead claiming that these companies are being funded by the government and yet produce nothing. And I was saying personally, if you go deeper, they don't fund nothing. This is a corrupt system. So you expect a corrupt system to continue helping companies that I don't see how that works. It's just them doing it because they are supposed to do it. It's mandatory. So let me share this. We have an NGO which has been given immunity in Kenya, and of course, I love the way she's explaining it. That Kenyans cannot sue this NGO. We cannot raise questions about it.
That's how you
Because
know. That's how you know it's complete control, Joby. That's how you know it's already. That's how you know it's criminal. That's why they make it so that you cannot question, that cannot sue, because it's already criminal from its inception, Joby. It's
fact,
criminal.
fact.
A private international NGO has just been granted immunity in Kenya, meaning you can't sue them, you can't audit them, and
That's
even the
why this
government
puppet.
can't.
That's why this puppet was put in Kenya. That's why this puppet, this yes boss Negro, was put there to pass all these things that are now stealing the wealth of African people, of Kenyan people. That's why he's there, Joby. That's why these puppets are there.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Walk into their offices without permission. That organization is called the Global Center on Adaptation, or simply GCA. It's based in Netherlands and recently launched in Nairobi, yet Kenya has now given it the kind of protection usually reserved for embassies and international bodies. We are talking about bodies such as the United Nations.
And
Guys,
no
they will
Kenyan
be
voted
getting
on this. So he's ruling as a dictator. No Kenyans. That's why no one, that's why, remember the Hague, the fake ICC is in the Netherlands. That's why they never brought criminal charges against Ruto for killing his own people last year. There are bodies out there dead that this moron has murdered. And everybody knows it. But no white people have called him a dictator and brought him to justice because they're stealing Africa, as they always do. That's why he's not talked about as a dictator and a war criminal. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
full legal privileges under the Privileges and Immunities Act, allowing it to operate above local law. Meanwhile,
Exactly.
the Netherlands, GCA's own home country, is cutting off its funding, and yet Kenya is moving in the opposite direction, embracing Global Center on Adaptations, not just as a partner, but as a protected power. Its CEO,
Always white people in your country where they already bought out their yes boss Negroes. Yes boss. Okay, Negro, we're gonna get some of this fake paper. Ooh, yes boss. Yes, sir. Because none of them know how to create any real economy. They're idiots. They should never be running any countries. But since Africa's divided with the religion and the tribal shit, they can never unite to actually get real leaders and overthrow these corrupt bad. Africa's been ruled since independence. All of Africa. That's why I'm not saying Kenya. All of Africa has been ruled by morons and idiots for 65 plus years.
I feel like
All
looking
of
at
it.
also
Go ahead,
right
Joey.
now, it's self-explanatory why they also choose these old Negroes, yes, supposed Negroes,
Oh, go ahead.
because number one, these are not educated people. They're people who would easily defend these kind of systems that are set up. These are religious nuts Negroes, also some of them, as much as they
Of
might
course.
know.
Of course, they're all exactly. They're all are fake religious nuts because
Yes,
they were indoctrinated when they were kids by white people. Remember, they were raised under colonial rules, Joby. So
exactly.
they were raised sucking the white man's penis when they were 5 and 6 and 7, and the white man's their God, the white man's their Lord. That's
It's
what you got.
self-explanatory why they pick them, because the current generation is a generation that has grown up again with the access of internet information and questions
True.
too. You know, we have a group of people who are questioning things. You're not gonna tell us to do things. Why are we doing it? Why are you to tell us to do it? Have you done it to
Exactly.
yourself for you to come tell me to do it? You know, it's very like I just love the fact that I've always had something in me to question. We had to do my number, the one we were talking about, the digital ID being brought in. Everyone was so quick to go for this BS shit. Like, and I was like, why you guys? How do you just feel it's
Exactly.
not
Ask questions.
to have? Is it even making sense for you to have everything on one document? It's not making sense. Something was just telling me no. There's no way you can have the passport, the ID, everything under one document. It's not making sense. I prefer carrying them separately. That is what I was telling
Because,
people.
because it's about control, Joby. It's about
Yes,
complete control, cutting you off. You don't follow the white man's rule, cut your money off, cut everything off. It's control, it's slavery, Joby. The white
as
man's now, since he's dying, he's trying to lock down the world completely. And these African morons are willing to sell it to give him everything he wants if you don't overthrow him.
as much as I was scared of coming and spikes after they came from Tanzania not having masks. I was not gonna take a VSCCINE for shit. I was educated enough to know this is what the trap was about.
Not a stranger. He is also the chancellor of the University of Nairobi, the same university that
how's a white man?
Dutch
A white man is the chancellor of the University of Nairobi. But I bet there's not a black man, the chancellor of the University of the Netherlands. I bet, and there's never been one, and will never be one.
Hell no.
India received roughly 1.2 million euros in funding from Global Center on Adaptation shortly before his appointment. And now that same organization that is foreign registered.
See, the white man, the white man in the middle, he's the boss, and these two flunky Negroes on the side. Yeah, it's the boss. This is what Africa. That's why that's why we as African people say we're the diaspora, because we're disrespected globally, because Africans are bootlicks. That's why everywhere you go, Africans are on the bottom. Okay, we're in Brazil, Colombia, and we're disrespected globally because Mama Africa's full of bootlick, handkerchief head, yes, a boss Negroes who have and yield no power globally. That's what we're dealing with. Period. If you, I don't care if you accept it or not. That's a fact. Go ahead, Joe.
In Kenya, and led by a man at the top of Kenya's oldest public university, will soon host Kenya's own Ministry of Environment within its new Nairobi headquarters. Guy, President Ruto calls it a breakthrough, saying Kenya will not pay a coin, but we will establish the BS. Before that, let's play Ruto's clip.
If climate action is an emergency, climate adaptation is more than emergency. And
remember I told you about the fake climate change nonsense? Told you about the fake climate change? Climate has changed because the vibration of the planet is rising. It's supposed to. They're trying to stop so these wicked motherfuckers can live. And the creators say, no, you got to go. I didn't create your ass. And you got to hit the road. But this moron and the climate change and blah, 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 because I'm a flunky of these things that are not even real. Blah, 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 blah. And the Africans are caught in that goofy religion and don't know that this Negro, everybody always, like Joe said, they always do that, oh, religion, but church and Jesus, why they kill people. They know that Jesus shit ain't real, or they wouldn't be killing innocent Kenyans. They would be scared that Jesus is going to get them in the afterlife and all that heavenly shit that they tell you morons about. He ain't scared about no damn Jesus because he's killing innocent men, women, and children in Kenya, and that's a fact. Because if you believed in the fake religion, as the morons in the streets do, you wouldn't be killing nobody because you'd be scared you're going to face real judgment. This moron knows it ain't real, but they use it as a political tool. Yep. Go ahead, Joby.
That is also going to provide space for our Ministry of Environment at no cost to the government of Kenya. Is a very welcome development.
Everybody clapping, it's a lie.
There we go. No cost at all. Did we not have a place where the Ministry of Environment was housed, or am I getting it wrong? Anyway,
of course it was.
About that for a moment. A foreign NGO protected from Kenya.
Exactly.
Law.
A foreign NGO. That means it's going to be criminal. These are, and also these are spies. Okay. They're not only stealing from Kenya, they're making sure you don't get. These are also spies. The NGOs, that's a spy organization, and you better believe that. And Ruto knows that. That's why he's in power. They put him there. They're gonna try to keep his ass there or replace him with their other puppet. Go ahead, Joe.
Government ministry, the same ministry that is responsible for setting and enforcing the country's environmental policy. And the president wants us to believe this is a win for Kenya. Anyways, by the time we are done today, I really want to walk you through a couple of things. How Kenya's top public university received funding from Global Center on Adaptation before its CEO became the chancellor of that university. While the Netherlands Global Center on Adaptation's own home country is walking away, how Kenya quietly published a Gazette notice granting it diplomatic-style immunity, and why Global Center on Adaptation will now host a Kenyan ministry on immunized grounds, and how all of this connects to a global system where Africans' land, air, and carbon are quietly being turned into commodities traded in the name of climate adaptation. Because once guys used
because remember, this is costing people's lives. Remember, in Isiolo, Mandera, and other places, we've shared a couple of videos of where people are getting killed, their lands are being taken away from them. Others are being paid $2 in the name of carbon emission, and the others are being kicked out completely out of their lands. And if you refuse, you're being killed. So yeah, of course. And we also have a Yesa boss, Negro, always showing the way and out of everything. So it's crazy. This is Ruto.
Keep away the slogans about resilience and sustainability. This is not just a climate story anymore. This is a power story about how easily foreign influence hides behind good intentions. Because in today's world, immunity is not just legal protection. It is the perfect disguise for an accountable control. Let's get deeper details on this. Kenya's parliament has officially approved something called the Privileges and Immunities Order 2025. Now, this is for the Global Center for Adaptation. That's just the formal name for a government law, also listed as Legal Notice number 82 of 2025. In simple terms, this legal notice is the document that gives the Global Center on Adaptation its special status in Kenya, allowing it to operate here with the same protections usually given to the big international organizations, like we said, the United Nations. It's not just a policy idea or a partnership. It is now Kenyan law, signed, sealed, and published in the official government gazette on May 2nd, 2025. First, they can't be sued or prosecuted for anything they do in their official capacity unless they themselves agree to be sued. Secondly, they will not be paying any taxes or duties on their official operations. Are we together? Thirdly, their offices and records are completely off limits. No police, even the general auditor cannot touch them.
This is a crime. For me, this is a crime. If we had true working militaries again, this is a crime. There's no you're just gonna come up in the country, set up your own bullshit, and there's no investigations of what you're doing. You're not paying taxes. Again, you go try that as an African. You go try that in their country. It's not even, you won't even go far. You won't even, there's nothing that is going to go anywhere. This is a crime. But it's been allowed.
No government agency can just walk in or seize anything. Then their staff and senior officials are also protected, so long as what they are doing is considered official
it's a
business.
crime, Joby.
And finally, there is a very small
it's a
clause
crime.
here, almost easy to miss, that says these protections don't apply to Kenyan citizens or residents unless they work exclusively for the Global Center on Adaptation. So put simply, Global Center on Adaptation now operates in Kenya with a level of immunity that places it above ordinary accountability. They can sign deals. Let me repeat that. They can sign deals, move money, and run projects, all without the same oversight every other organization in this country faces. Now, stop and think about that. Why would Kenya give that kind of power to a foreign-run institution? And what exactly does this climate adaptation body do that is so sensitive, so untouchable, that it needs diplomatic-style protection? Now, the Global Center on Adaptation is an international organization that says its mission is to help countries prepare for the effects of climate change.
Now, my question is, how do you help prepare for the effects of climate change while we have currently big effects of climate change? A very simple one. In Kenya just last week, it was raining. Like I said, not so heavy, but the rain was quite heavy. Not heavy enough to cause floods or to carry people. But mind you, there were floods. So if you're dealing with the simplest climate effects that we have, why not deal with number one, proper water drainage? That is number one, very highly required in the African continent, in every country. Let's talk about the issue of easy accessibility of, let's say, emergency equipment when maybe there's rain or anything. That is not there, yet there are funds provided, like Kenya, 100 million Kenyan shillings, all pocketed in the name of we're going to get motorboats to help Kenyans every time there's floods. We've not seen anyone being helped. As a matter of fact, people are sleeping on trees so that they can help themselves. Shout out to Museveni. What else?
It's all it's so criminal. It's crazy.
If you're
It's
talking
so
about
criminal. It's crazy.
if you want to deal with effects of climate change, number one, stop cutting down trees. But these are the biggest advocates
Exactly.
cutting down trees. Number one, we know trees attract rain. So why would you be cutting down trees when you're talking about effects of climate change? You are the big effect of climate change, as a matter of fact. You're talking about people normalizing to plant genetically modified seeds. Why not us relying on our natural seeds? What's wrong with the natural seeds? Man, again, if I had the powers that I wish I could have, but maybe I'm going to get there. You never know. In this life, you never know. You never know. If I had the power I wish to have, or I'd want to have to talk to people, again, that blue beam project is going to work. Trust me, it's going to work. You need to put, you're gonna have to wake up Africans by force, if not bubble gums, because this is too far gone. So we can't question. What are we supposed to do? Sit down and allow deals, like she said, deals are going to be made. Deals that are going to be very much effective to Kenyans. And before we know, it's not just going to be Kenya. Kenya, like we said, it's a jump-off country. The rest, it's going to spread. It's going to be like a cobweb, just spreading everywhere. And before we realize it, East Africa is caught up in other deals that we can't get out of. Magufuli warned you. Again, we go back to Magufuli. Stop signing deals unless you are drunk.
Especially those already struggling with droughts, floods, and unpredictable weather. In simple terms, Global Center on Adaptation acts as a solution broker. This is a bridge between governments, development banks, and private investors. It doesn't usually build dams or plant forests itself.
Exactly. It's about theft. It's about resource. It's about resource theft. And why are they now coming to ask for not to be persecuted for crimes? Because they already know they're going to commit crimes, and that's the whole thing. It's criminal.
Exactly.
We have the forest, we have the land. So what this organization is here to do is design the blueprint, advise ministries and connect the financiers who make those projects happen. And
exactly. It's the theft of Kenya. It's the theft of Kenya. That's what's going on. How can we steal the land? Since that you don't give a foreign NGO the power that no Kenyan citizen has. Are you out of your mind? That's why I told you, Africans, you better start getting ready to overthrow people. Go ahead, Joe.
It will advise governments on how to plan and finance climate adaptation projects. Guys, I know climate change is such a, not many people are interested in this, but I really want you to get these details, right? So from irrigation and flood control, to roads, energy, and early warning systems. Don't we have the Kenya Met for that? Don't we have the Met department for that? All right. Then it mobilizes money for those projects by working with major lenders like the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank.
And also understand, when you do revolution, all these things are null and void. You get rid of all of them, like Ibrahim do. When you get power, you get rid of all of it. You say all these deals, they're no longer valid. They're tore up. So So that's how you get out of them. So you don't still go into these agreements that when you take power, you tear it up and say these agreements are null and void, and I want you out. I want you NGOs out of my country. I want you out now.
Helping them integrate climate resilience into their portfolios. Then it conducts research and policy studies, shaping national strategies on food security, land restoration, and water management. It promotes what it calls nature-based solutions, restoring mangroves, the forest, grasslands, so they protect communities and absorb carbon. And it runs capacity building programs, especially for youth and local leaders, under initiatives like the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program. I saw Gladys Wanga in one of those. So in essence, Global Center on Adaptation doesn't do the digging. All it does is write the rules. It helps decide what adaptation looks like, what qualifies for funding, and often who sits at the table when those billions in climate finance start moving. Doesn't it remind you why a lot of people also have issues with the Gates Foundation? Because they make the rules. The money is there, but they decide this is where we want our money used. And that's why Kenya's decision to give Global Center on Adaptation legal immunity is such a big deal. Because this isn't just another NGO. It's an organization that shapes policy, finance, and land use all at once. And when such an institution becomes legally untouchable, it doesn't hold influence. It holds power without accountability. To understand what's really happening,
which is very wrong. Like I said, again, go back to the skills of leadership. If there's no inclusivity, responsibility, accountability, this is all a fraud. This is all a scam. Again, this is all human rights being abused in all sorts of ways, because we don't know what to expect. You don't want to know records of your office to be investigated, you're protected. No Kenyan should be involved in. What do you mean? This is all wrong.
We need to go back to where this story began, because it did not begin here in Nairobi. It began in Netherlands, Rotterdam, right? That is where the Global Center on Adaptation was born. It was housed in this sleek floating office on the Maar River, a symbol of Dutch innovation, proudly described as the world's largest floating office. The Dutch government helped fund it. The city of Rotterdam hosted it. And Global Center on Adaptation was celebrated as proof that Netherlands was leading the global fight against climate change. But by 2025, start taking your notes. That celebration had turned into a crisis. According to NOS, that is the Netherlands National Public Broadcaster, the Dutch government decided to end its financial support for Global Center on Adaptation, Rotterdam based, once the current funding cycle expires, that is in 2026. The Ministries of Infrastructure and Water Management and Foreign Affairs in Netherlands both confirmed that Global Center on Adaptation subsidies will not be renewed, citing budget constraints. But Dutch media, including NOS, NL Times, and Dutch News, made it clear the issue went far deeper than money. Behind closed doors, officials were questioning Global Center on Adaptation's governance, transparency, and political.
Whew. Now remember, the Dutch are your South Africans. Never forget that. Rotterdam, that's where your South Africans came from. You better know that, Kenyans. You better know that. Go ahead, Joe.
Ties. That decision did not just come out of nowhere. It was the result of a long list of uneasy moments that had been building for months. Let's rewind a bit. January 2024. Kenya's President William Ruto appoints Professor Patrick, the CEO of Global Center on Adaptation, as the Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, right? That is our own oldest and most prestigious public university. On paper, this sounds like a normal academic honor.
No,
But
he wasn't supposed. Exactly. Exactly. He wasn't supposed to do that. You would never do that. Exactly. That's a no-no. That's your sign right there. You're a yes boss.
quickly
Good.
discovered something unusual. Please take your notes on this one. Global Center on Adaptation had reportedly funded a major research contract worth 1.2 million euros for the University of Nairobi shortly before Patrick's appointment. That is around 140 million Kenya shillings. Do the maths. Let me know if I'm right. That raised eyebrows because here was an international organization funding a university, and then moments later, its CEO becomes the university's ceremonial head. Hey, you see the conflict of interest here. Anyways, Dutch officials quietly described it as a potential conflict of interest, even if we are not doing it here in Kenya. Netherlands is already calling it a conflict of interest. Patrick Vakoyeng dismissed the 1.2 million euros as utter nonsense, but his own spokesperson later confirmed that funding had indeed taken place, though they insisted it was signed before his appointment. I mean, what a coincidence.
Never a coincidence. All this is planned. This is super sad and super crazy. But like Keith has said, if you don't do anything about it, it's going to be more and more and more and more of these same results. And before we realize it, more white people are gonna be here. This is gonna be another South Africa if you're not careful, for real. Because I remember, I think it's just a few months ago this year, I said that I'm glad that in Kenya we don't have the bullshit we have in South Africa. But with what is happening now, these privatizations of company, the UN moving here, and a whole lot of bunch of things happening, before we realize it, we're going to have another Orania in Kenya. We have the UAE, which owns a big percentage of land. For what? So if we don't do anything about it, if we don't this time ensure Ruto doesn't come back in power and reclaim all this back, resets everything back, this already a puppet states like completely. These beyond the British. This is now owned by all of them, because again, understanding who they are, they also fight for they have war between, or with, let me say, between them, to have a share in Africa, in every country. Look at France right now, from Burkina Faso to Kenya right now. What are you doing here? You're not our colonizer. We should be dealing with our colonizer, but oh no, they all work together. It's not like us. It's not like Africans being tribal and all that bullshit. They work together and they'll do everything to ensure it benefits them. So the majority of the people, it's us. We're a big percentage of young people. A very big percentage. I can't go to the war. Our men should. We have a bunch of boss Negroes from Nigeria to Kenya to Malawi to South Africa, everywhere. I feel bad even for South Africa more, because
everywhere
they are gays, actually. I don't even know how to do that.
Yes, Joby, they work together. And I'm saying that's right. That's right. They work together because they know they're the same small minority globally.
Mm-hmm.
They know that.
Yeah, so we need to do something about it. But for the last part of this video, it is remaining. It has like 40 minutes remaining. So you guys are shaking what's up.
I want you to play. No, you play two. I want you to play two. I sent you one too, Joe. I want you to play the Chinese one too on your show. So all they doing is the music channel. It'll be all right. All they do is that music. So play yours and play the last one I just sent you.
Okay.
Him explaining and say where Africa went wrong. Because him being Chinese, he said we were never conquered by the religion and what these people do. It came in, he said in the history how they tried to take over China over and over again. These same folks.
This video might get restricted because I'm talking about Jewish capital.
Exactly. Yeah. But I know they got it, Chinese man. I know they got you. But you say they
They
don't.
really
But I'll
dislike
listen.
China since they've had the least success infiltrating in China. So their mainstream media loves to badmouth China. They've failed in 5 big ways. Number 1, religion didn't work. China is a secular country, except for Communist Party members. People can follow any religion, but most are still atheists. Number 2, money didn't work. China's key industries belong to the people, so Jewish capital can't touch them. China has lots of private businesses, but the market is super competitive and spread out, so their profits are limited. And they're not that interested. In 1998, they looted Asia. China got hit the hardest. But the United States is another story. It has been totally parasited by Israel. So have you ever thought that the United States has real sovereignty?
Pause it there. Each and truth. Parasited. They've been controlled it for over 100 years now. You're not allowed to say that and know this, but most people are starting to know this. I've been told you. Chinese men know you've been parasited. He knows who controls America. They even saying the names finally. He's not just saying the cats. That's who owns America. That's who controls it. That's who rules it. Those are Trump's boss. Okay? That's who Larry Ellison is now, buying up all the media from his other same people. Oh, he's buying up all the media, but from the same people? They own all the media, and that's what he's talking about again. He knows that's a fact. Go ahead, Joe.
Number 3, color revolutions didn't work in China. They were heavily involved in things like the Arab Spring, but that stuff doesn't fly in China. The PRC was born from a revolution, so it's not as easily fooled as some Middle Eastern countries. Number 4, media propaganda. They had some wins here in China, but it's starting to fail. Growing up here, we heard Jews are super smart, reading tons of books. Back then, China was poor and the West was rich. People thought wealth meant being right sometimes. So for the last 40 years, many Chinese saw Jews as the smartest people in the world. Jewish capital can't control China's media, but they run Western media. Since they've failed in China, their media paints China as an evil country. Yeah, that's why most of the Westerners got that impression of China. Number 5, cultural blending didn't work. Over 900 years ago, during the Song Dynasty, Jews came to China, peaking at 5,000 in total. But China's huge population and strong culture absorbed them, turning them into real Chinese who no longer followed Judaism. During World War II, Shanghai was the only major city open to Jewish refugees globally, taking in 25,000, way more than other foreign groups in Shanghai. Yet those Jews worked with Japan, which was invading China and killing millions, to try building their Israel on Chinese land with something called the Fugu Plan. Like most people globally, Chinese value farming and industry making real stuff. They are not big on things like money lending, which Jews often focus on. Jewish capital's role in the world economy is mostly finance and media, not making so many actual goods. They are like landlords who don't farm but take most of the crops, leaving farmers and workers struggling. Then they use media to make it seem fair. That's why some now call Hitler a hero globally. Their own economic rule keeps fueling anti-Semitism, coming in waves. The last one was 80 years ago. With Israel's actions in Gaza and bombing 7 Middle Eastern countries this year, another wave might be coming soon. Unless they switch to being farmers or workers instead of moneylenders, bullies, or killers. Some say where there's oil, you get US troops. Where there's profit, you get Jewish capital. Over 2,000 years, Jews as a group haven't changed much. Do you think they'll change? Would they take advice to become farmers or workers? Follow me, an Eastern perspective to see the world.
Okay, yeah, that's the video. So it's only Africa who have accepted that bullshit and keep on accepting that bullshit and so defensive of that bullshit that they don't want to question. If you want to touch an African or hurt an African's feelings, touch the religion. You know, they go crazy. The religion drives them nuts. About education or that you can debate, but religion, that's a conversation many are not ready for. That's just facts. But anyway, as we wind up, I see Novia. K. Williams says earlier, if we saw the video where the Arabs drained those Africans over there in the Arab country. Not really. I saw the one, those who are crossing the Mediterranean Sea, and that was along Tunisia, I think, and they were being beaten. The one I shared on Monday. And I also see Sinovia says, because Jesus is going to take care of everything. Indeed, he will. Keep on waiting for life. Yeah. I also see she asked that the religions which are worshipped by our people are the same religions that cannot stand our people. Sadly, true. but they're not ready for that. And Sinovi also says that the educational system is
Ain't that the
designed
truth?
to make our people self-hate themselves. True.
Yep.
K. Williams says religion has destroyed Black people globally, and that is why they are laughing stocks of the planet Earth. All I see are teeth just grinding. Black entertainers, preachers, politicians, and athletes are no good Black people to Black people. They are useless. That is Kate Williams. And
True.
also see John Mosquito, Karibu Sana. Good afternoon, grand rising to you, but you're late. But anyway, Karibu. Cinema says,
We always like to talk shit to people.
no, yeah, John Mosquito talking to me, but yeah, it's not in a disrespectful way. Don't misunderstand me, Tafadhali. Don't misunderstand me. I'm joking. But Cinema says, once the UN moves to Kenya, it's a wrap for Kenya. I know it's gonna be super, super tough for Kenyans, and they have no goddamn idea. You know, people think it's a joke until it's happening. That's the crazy part, you know. That's the crazy part. But yeah, shout out to Blackout Fire for all the businesses we're creating. I bet our assets will be saved in different ways. Literally, hopefully. But yes, much love, family. See you guys later on the reaction time. But of course, come back on the network again. A quick reminder right now to download the app on the Google Play Store. Catch up with Shmani and Diwaton on the BHFN countdown and see what's the top music. You guys don't request music, so you should, so that we can have the top countdowns and see whose playlist is the hottest and who's the pathetiest. You know, it's good to at least have those different genres of music. But anyway, of course, also see you tonight on the Culture Show. Remember to also tune in on the network, on the radio, on TikTok. If you don't join in early, don't come asking me for a request like Keith. Don't be there an hour on your phone, then you come back telling me you want a request at the end of the show. I won't play it, please. But anyway, much love. See you guys later on the Culture Show and the reaction time.
Greetings and salutations, everyone here